At the intersection of serial entrepreneurship and social responsibility is Jim Kernan. For over 30 years, he started many companies, among them an engineering firm, a construction firm, an insurance company, and now he's taking all of that business knowledge and he's trying to put that forward to help disadvantaged communities. Welcome, Jim.
Hello, Michelle.
I guess my first question is, how are you taking all of this business experience and using this to develop job opportunities for disadvantaged communities?
We've recognized that disadvantaged communities and disadvantaged businesses and persons lack three things. They lack the workforce, the diverse workforce that will support them with what they're building and what they're contracting. Second, they lack access to bonding. And third, they lack experience to be able to even seek out and get those bonds and be qualified to take the contracts. We believe we have a solution that levels the playing field and puts them in a position where they can compete on a par with other contracting companies out there.
All right, well, tell me, what is this solution?
We start out with making sure that we approach the first problem, and that is to make sure you have skilled craftsmen that are going to be working for the minority businesses. We have a not-for-profit entity, Risk Jobs and Careers, which is an apprenticeship program that trains disadvantaged people that have been selected and bring them into the workforce. And second, we provide the bonding to guarantee that the disadvantaged companies can do the work and get it done. And third, we provide the mentoring that enables them to have the backup with engineers and accountants and so forth to be able to run their companies as they get up and running and gain the experience that they need. That is something that we do. We believe that that is our business, and we want to make sure that it's successful.
Well, one of the things I've heard is that it is difficult for minority companies to compete successfully for public work contracts. And why is that? Well,
it starts from, again, the basic that you have to have skilled manpower. And minorities do not have access, minority persons generally, to the union programs. They're locked out and have difficulty getting into the programs, and therefore those people who would be of the same culture of the minority individual that is starting his construction company, he doesn't have those loyal employees that are there working for him. So now he has difficulty having the craftsmen to be able to build the job, which is what the contract is supposed to accomplish. It opens him up to being a victim and a target where other unscrupulous people might put their payroll and their persons and flush them through the minority's payroll, or use other methods that are not intended to provide the opportunities for the minorities and disadvantaged companies. That is something that is a problem and has becoming more and more of an issue. It also is something that creates a backdraft in not being able to give opportunities to the communities so that the communities can understand that the work that's being done in their areas is really to their advantage. We see that generally that black-owned businesses or other minority businesses are twice as likely not to be able to have bond credit capability and capacity. That means that if they don't have the bonds, they're not going to be able to do the work. We think that by our providing the bonds, that gives them the opportunity to begin to become successful, start up that ladder so that they can then hire from within the community, start to cut into the chronic unemployment, and essentially change the neighborhoods from which the disadvantaged persons are coming from. They no longer will be, if the way I see it, disadvantaged, because they will be part of Middle America. They will be part of the income producing and the opportunity that is supposed to be the economic engine of our country. I think that America needs what needs them to become involved, absolutely.
What's the government's role in all this? Aren't there certain government mandates for these companies?
There are. And almost all public work construction projects have goals that are set, and part of the requirements for the contract that a contractor, a general contractor, has to comply with. So he'll have to provide certain levels of minorities working on the job. Equal employment opportunity has to be there. But what happens generally, because there aren't the disadvantaged people sufficient in quality and capability to do the work, those goals become nothing more than best efforts. Instead, a private enterprise solution, a private solution to a public problem, is what we think is the best way to accomplish that. And you can do that by putting together a program that does have the not-for-profit coupled with the experienced contractors to act as mentors, coupled with a bonding program that will bond the risks to make sure that these disadvantaged companies are successful. That's a private solution to a public problem, and we believe we have it.
Well, how does government or anyone measure the success of a program?
The government has set up standards where they have a certain percentage of a project that has to go to disadvantaged companies. They measure it by dollars. The dollars can be spent on a single company that might have one person, can buy one generator from General Electric, and that qualifies if it goes through the system. Instead of, with our program, we measure by the number of people we put to work. We think it's more important for the equal employment opportunity. We measure the boots on the ground. That's what is the spirit behind what is supposed to be equal employment opportunity and helping the disadvantaged business enterprises. That's the way you should measure it.
When I hear the words contractor, I start thinking of complications like red tape and regulations.
That's actually one of the things that we've encountered over the many years that we've been doing this in separate pieces. The apprenticeship training is separate from the bonding, is separate from the mentoring. And those pieces are now coming together, but what has happened in historically with the regulations is we've been constrained to be able to use those. We've had very difficult time with the regulators understanding the opportunities and what it is that we're trying to accomplish. What is the social value of what we're bringing, not just the profit and success that's associated with it. And those constraints up to this point have interfered with our ability to pull all of these pieces together. Now we're integrating these. Now we're making these work together. Now we should make this as a full complement of tools that are available to make sure that these disadvantaged companies are successful so they are no longer ever disadvantaged. The idea is to make them not disadvantaged.
Well, tell me about some of the success stories you've had over the duration of this program.
Well, it begins from success stories that begin at the training side, where you start in, and everybody starts at an entry level point. There's a Mr. Collin who was a masonry trainee apprentice working for a company because it's important that the apprentices have a job. We arrange for a job for them. It's on the job training. He was working for a company called Atlas Construction. They were doing the reconstruction of the Holland Tunnel. He was with a crew that was responsible for removing the catwalk. Catwalk was supposed to be removed over a 2-year period. They got it done in 9 months, well ahead of schedule. He's now been promoted to a foreman. He looks, and we expect that not far along down the road that he will be moving to a project manager, and from there, wouldn't be surprised if he owns his own company someday. There's another person, Mr. Gula, who lives in the South Bronx. Not far from where the school is, because he was able to make it to the school without having to take public transportation. He, though, is a carpenter apprentice, learning a lot of the skills that are associated with being able to measure and read drawings and be able to make sure that what you're building is in conformance with the job plans and specifications. Became so good that he also is now somebody for that company that he's working for as their estimator. The estimator is a very important party that is moving forward and up the ladder. He now is also the foreman of the crew, like the crews that he's been working with. He now is in control and responsible charge for those crews. That's the career path that's available to these people, and eventually they will not be disadvantaged because those will be the people we're going to rely on to make sure our infrastructure works.
Well, Jim Kernan, best of luck to you. Sounds like a fascinating program.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Take care.